The crowd gathers in silence. A man is forced to kneel, his head pressed against a block of rough wood. The executioner raises a massive axe, and in that heartbeat of stillness before the blade falls, the question lingers. What drives humanity to invent such monstrous ways of killing? Throughout history, societies have not only killed their criminals, traitors, and enemies. They have turned executions into theater, into warnings, into blood-soaked rituals that defined entire eras. Today we journey into 10 of the most shocking methods of execution ever recorded. In medieval Europe, execution was more than punishment. It was a public spectacle meant to show power and control. In ancient Asia and the Middle East, rulers went even further, creating elaborate methods of killing that shocked entire civilizations. The air thick with smoke from torches. The sound of boots echoing on stone as guards march a prisoner forward. Faces lean from balconies, windows, and rooftops, everyone holding their breath, waiting to see how one human life will be ended before their eyes. The stench of sweat and burning pitch fills the nostrils. Chains scrape across the stones. Somewhere a child cries, while laughter bursts from a drunken soldier. The condemned man tastes iron in his mouth as blood trickles from bitten lips. But tonight is not a simple beheading. The method chosen is whispered among the crowd. They say it is worse than fire, worse than drowning. What could possibly be so cruel that even the soldiers refuse to look directly at the stake? To the executioner, it is simply duty. To the prisoner, it is terror. To the crowd, it is a mix of curiosity and fear. Each set of eyes sees the same act through a different lens of meaning. And yet this is only the beginning. For history hides methods of execution so bizarre, so grotesque, that to this day, their memory lingers like a nightmare you cannot wake from. The crowd stares at a monstrous shape of bronze glistening in the firelight. It is a hollow statue of a bull with a trapdoor in its side. The condemned man is dragged forward screaming as the executioners force him inside the belly of the beast. When the iron door slams shut, his cries echo from within like an animal's roar. Flames are lit beneath the belly of the bull. The metal glows red. The prisoner's voice changes, twisting into howls distorted by the pipes in the nostrils of the bull. To the crowd it sounds as though the bull itself is alive, bellowing in agony. The prisoner is tied to a wooden frame in the center of the square. Blades gleam in the hands of the executioners. One cut across the flesh, then another and another. The punishment is not to kill swiftly, but to carve the body piece by piece until the victim is nothing but fragments of pain. Each slice is deliberate, each pause filled with screams that ripple through the crowd. Some faint, some vomit, but the executioners continue until the man is no longer a man, but a canvas of agony. A wooden coffin shaped like two narrow boats is prepared. The condemned is stripped and placed between them, only his head, arms, and legs protruding. Honey and milk are poured over his exposed flesh, and insects swarm instantly. The coffin is set adrift upon a stagnant swamp. Days pass. The sun scorches the skin, maggots crawl in and out of wounds, mosquitoes feast upon every inch of exposed flesh. The victim lingers trapped between life and death, slowly consumed by nature itself. The prisoner is tied to a cartwheel, his limbs stretched across the spokes. The executioner lifts an iron hammer and smashes bones one by one. The sound of snapping echoes across the square, each crack met with cries from the crowd. The body bends unnaturally, arms and legs twisted into grotesque shapes. The wheel itself is raised and displayed, like a crucifix, leaving the shattered body to die slowly, exposed to the crows. Two executioners hold a long saw. The prisoner hangs upside down, his body swaying above a frame. The blade begins at his groin, cutting downward slowly. Blood gushes, but the position ensures his brain receives blood for as long as possible, keeping him conscious. The saw works its way through flesh and bone, while his screams echo like thunder against the walls. The cauldron bubbles over a raging fire. The prisoner is stripped and shackled as guards lift him toward the steam. His feet touch first skin, blistering instantly. The crowd listens as he shrieks, his body slowly lowered into boiling oil or water. The smell of cooked flesh fills the square, and the horror lingers long after the last scream. A sharpened stake stands in the earth. The victim is stripped and forced upon it, the point entering the body and sliding upward through the organs. The stake is planted upright, and the victim writhes suspended above the ground. Death does not come quickly. It drags on for hours, even days. The sight is so terrifying that entire villages once fled at the rumor of it. Knives flash as the condemned is bound. Skin is peeled from the flesh slowly, layer by layer. The victim screams not only in pain, but in the horror of watching his own skin stripped away. Priests and rulers sometimes preserve the flayed skin as trophies stretched across temple walls. Wooden beams rise on a hilltop. Nails hammer through wrists and feet, the sound sharp and brutal. The body is raised to hang against the sky. Every breath is a battle, muscles straining, lungs filling with fluid. The crowd watches for hours, sometimes days, until silence finally falls. In ancient India, the condemned is brought before a great elephant. The animal, trained to obey slowly, lifts its foot over the prisoner's head. Sometimes it crushes, swiftly ending life in one blow. Other times it toys with the victim, pressing lightly, breaking bones gradually, until the final strike comes. The crowd gasps as the power of beast and ruler combine in one brutal spectacle. Yet these 10 horrors are only fragments of history. There are whispers of methods even stranger, lost to time. Secret rituals, hidden chambers, ancient cultures, whose punishments were so inventive they remain shrouded in fear. Some say rulers chose these methods not only for cruelty, but for symbolism. The bull as a warning against treachery, the wheel as a reminder of divine justice. Others believe many accounts are exaggerated or even fabricated to terrify enemies. The line between truth and legend blurs. Imagine the fear of those condemned, their last moments not in silence, but in fire, steel, or insects. Imagine the faces of families in the crowd, torn between horror and helplessness. These were not just executions, they were human lives unraveled in front of thousands. And yet, while one man was boiled alive, another family sat down to dinner only streets away. While a crowd watched skin peeled from flesh, a market bustled with merchants selling bread. The cruelty of execution always existed side by side with the ordinary rhythm of daily life. The true horror is not just in the methods themselves. It is in the realization that human beings created them not out of necessity, but out of imagination. That cruelty became art, spectacle, and power. That we are capable of inventing pain in ways even nature never dreamed. When the echoes of screams fade, we are left with silence. And in that silence, we must ask ourselves, what does it mean that cruelty can become tradition? Perhaps the darkest truth of all is this: execution does not reveal the guilt of the condemned. It reveals the soul of the society that demands it. And if these methods horrified you, wait until you hear of the secret medieval torture devices that never made it into official history books. History is not only written in ink, but in blood. And sometimes the echoes of those screams still reach us across the centuries. If this journey through history unsettled, you then share it so others may question the shadows of the past. Like this video, if you want more stories that uncover the darkest corners of human history. Comment below with the execution method that disturbed you the most, and whether humanity has truly moved beyond such cruelty.